Here's the problem that comes to us from 19th century. A mowing crew needs to cut grass on two fields. One of the fields is a half size of the other one. Whole crew was mowing the big field for half a day. On the second half of the day, the crew split up so that half of them continued mowing the big field, while the rest of the crew started mowing the smaller field. At the end of the day, the big field was completed. The smaller field was finished by one crew member next day who worked there whole day. What was the size of the crew? So, to solve this problem, we need to figure out how one crew member is working, how fast he's working, what is his speed. And that speed of work is called productivity of one mower. Okay? So that's the amount of area one mower will do in one day. Now, normally when we talk about area, we talk about units like square feet, square miles, square kilometers, acres, hectares, or anything like that. In this problem, we don't have any of that. We don't know the size of the small field, we don't know the size of the big field in any normal units of area. But that's not really a problem, because what we can do, we can talk about the area with respect to the size of a smaller field. Okay? We're going to define this productivity as the area measured in the small fields a mower cuts in one day. So if that area equals to 1, it means that he cuts the small field. If it's equals to 2, it means he cuts in 2 fields in one day. If that area is half, it means that he does a half of the field, of the small field. Now, if we are not satisfied with this, we can come up with our own units. So, for example, we can honor the author of this problem and call the area of a small field as 1 Tolstoy. Okay? So if it's 1 field, it's 1 Tolstoy. If it's 2 fields, 2 small fields, so 1 big field is 2 Tolstoy. If we talk about half of the small field, we talk about half Tolstoy. You can do it that way. And in this case, productivity will be measured in Tolstoy per day. Okay? The next thing we need to do is to introduce the variable that we actually need to find, the size of the crew. So now, let's look at one mower who works whole day cutting the grass. How much grass he's going to cut? Well, he's going to cut P small fields, or P Tolstoy. Okay, but what if there are N people cutting the grass? Well, if each of them going to cut P in one day, when I have N of them, I have N times more, and it's going to be P times N. In our case, whole team works not whole day on the field, it works half a day in the field. Well, in half of the day, in half time, they'll do half work, or they're going to cut half area. So in half day, N people are going to cut Pn over 2 area. Now, in the second half of the day, remember, we had not whole crew, but we had a half of the crew. So how much is a half of the crew going to do in a half a day? Well, they're going to do half the work, right? So they're going to do half of this, what whole crew did. So we get half Pn over 2. And together, in a whole day, they did Pn over 2 and 1/2 Pn over 2. And at the end of the day, they cut the area of the big field, which is 2 small fields or 2 Tolstoy. We got one equation for us, but we have 2 unknowns. We don't know P, we don't know N. We need the second equation. Well, we have the second field, the smaller field. So they start smaller field on the second half of the first day, and half of the crew works half of the day cutting the grass on a small field. How much work they're going to do? Well, we already talked about this. That's what they're going to do. And then next day, what happens? One worker spent whole day working on this field. And one worker is going to cut P area, right? But after that, the whole small field is finished. So the area we're going to finish is equal to 1. Well, now we got two equations, two unknowns. We can solve this problem. Now let's look at the very top first equation. This equation is for P times N. So we can combine the terms on the left-hand side. We get 3Pn over 4 equals to 2. Now, if you look at what we have here, we actually have Pn over 4 plus P equals to 1. So if we take this guy and divide by 3, both left and right-hand side, we're going to get our Pn over 4. It's equals to 2/3. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to plug this 2/3 in this equation. And this is what I'm going to get. And from that, I see that P equals to 1/3, which means that one worker will do 1/3 of a small field in one day. So now what we're going to do, we're going to substitute this 1/3 in this equation. This is what we're going to get. And now we just multiply both parts of this last equation by 12. And we get n equals to 8, which means there were 8 people on the crew.